to JG's Fight Talk, sponsored by Rich's Boxing and Limitless Creations. And with me now, I've got Elton Dharry. How you doing, Elton?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, really good, mate. It's lovely to have you on. And as I say, probably one of the most chilled out people I've had on.
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
No problem at all, mate. And, you know, before we get into, you know, your career and so much, let's have a quick chat. 31 fights, 24 wins, 1 draw, 14 knockouts. That's quite a career, mate. That's quite a career.
Thank you, definitely. It's been a long road, but I'm still here on this road.
Yeah, no, definitely. And as I say, you know, you've been doing it a long time now, haven't you? And and you still look younger than me.
20 years. 20 years. I've been doing it 20 years, and I feel like I'm 20 years old now. Yeah.
So when did it all start for you, Elton? How old were you when you started boxing?
I started boxing 2001, 2. I think I was 15, 16. It started in the neighborhood I grew up in Brooklyn. I didn't grow up there, but I moved there when I was 13 years old. And it was a rough neighborhood, and, you know, looking like me in the neighborhood wasn't, you know, pretty good for me. So a lot of fights in the neighborhood. My dad was a huge boxing fan, so I always had to watch boxing every weekend. The school I went to is all fights, you know. My physical appearance didn't help me well, so I had to throw hands.
Yeah. So
that's how it started.
Who was your sort of fighter you looked to? You say your dad was a big boxing fan. Who was the sort of fighters that you looked at, or your dad looked at, that gave you sort of inspiration?
He was a major Roy Jones fan. Like when I was in my time, when he was way before me, when he was watching Sugar Ray, but that wasn't my time. But he would watch Roy Jones and Mike Tyson and Barrera and all the, you know, great fighters that whoever were great at the time, he watched them. So he didn't really pick one over the other.
So who was your inspiration?
Man, I was a huge fan of Roy Jones and Mike Tyson. Even Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Barrera, you know. I watched Joe Calzaghe at one point, and I just like the way he fight. I watch, you know, all these older fighters like Morales, and, you know, these guys were really, you know, good to watch, and you learn from them, and you get motivated watching.
Yeah, well, you've certainly picked some names there, mate. I have to say there's some absolute crackers there. But you know, let's get back to you. You know, you've been a busy guy throughout your career. You know, we'll pick some out. April 2013, you won the vacant Guyanese bantam title against Orlando Rogers.
Yes.
That was kind of the first title for you, wasn't it? How did that feel?
Well, it was actually I believe my second title. I won the Caribbean title first. Then I won the national title. I always wanted to win the Guyana national title because I felt like they weren't giving me the respect in Guyana as a real fighter. You know, it was always, you know, jokingly, this little guy fight boxing. I just want to be taken seriously. So I asked to fight for the title, and I fought whatever opponent was available to me to fight for that belt, and, you know, he was available, and I won. It meant a lot to me, yeah.
So you never shied away. Whatever came your way, you got stuck in. And I think it was December 2014. I've got it all written down here because I couldn't remember all of it.
Yeah.
The IBF Intercontinental Bantamweight title against Jose Rios.
Jose, he was a tough customer, but you know, boxing I believe every round in that fight, and I believe no one think I was gonna beat him because he was the Nicaraguan champion at the time, and he was a rough guy. And, you know, if you look at me on paper, maybe you don't think it's, you know, a tough challenge or what until you step in the ring with me. over the years, I've been trying to fight all the best fighters. I can name fighters even in the UK that I reach out and talk to them personally on social media to make fights happen, because I was pretty much managing and promoting my own career.
Yeah.
So that's why, it was difficult to get the fights that I really want to be in. So I settled for what was in my power. And when I fought Jose Rios, I was happy because he was, a notable name, the Nicaraguan champion for a notable title. And, I trained hard and I beat him.
Yeah. Well, you can't ask more than that, mate. You can't ask more than that, can you?
Mm-hmm.
You can, like you were saying, you can only beat who's in front of you. And,
Yes.
whatever fights come along, as I say, you've never shied away from it. Whoever's come along, you've taken the fight and you've given it your best shot.
Definitely.
And, the majority of the time, you got the job done, and that's the tough job, mate. That's the tough.
I had a few early in my career where I should have won, but I was just the opponent coming in from a different state and take a week notice fight. If I win the fight, it still didn't really win because I did knock the guy out and I wasn't a favorite to win, and all that nonsense. So it looked terrible on paper, but really, I'm way better than what I look like with those L's.
Because to be fair, early on,
Yes.
the majority of your losses were early on, weren't they? So you were still learning. You're still learning your trade then, aren't you? So as over time you started picking up the wins and getting the momentum. And I think a lot of people go into boxing and think, I get the wins, and then I build my profile. But you learned the hard way. You took some of those harder fights earlier on, and that's probably the better way to learn, isn't it?
Yeah, and few of those guys were pretty much Olympians and national champions, and they had their entire team, powerful team on their side, and I was just the guy who come in as an opponent. But I strongly took those fights because I believe I can win. I just didn't take him because they offered me a few dollars, and I'm just an opponent, and I didn't take it with that, in my mind.
Yeah, no, and that's what makes you a top bloke, Elton. To be honest, it's people like you that don't shy away from fights and get stuck in that have a good fan base, because people respect that.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
So, yeah, following on from where we left off, May 2019. This is the one where I'm probably going to struggle with the name. Gilberto Pedrosa.
Yes.
The WBA Fedacentro Super Fly title.
Yeah, it was two titles we fought for that night. The WBA and the WBC Feca Box. They never really give me the WBC Feca Box title. But, going into that fight, I'm not going to make excuses because it's already over. I never complained. I tore ligaments in my right elbow 3 weeks before that fight. And my trainer asked me if I'm going to continue fight or I'm going to pull out, what I'm going to do. I wrapped my hands up and we trained with one hand in Gleason's gym. Went to Panama, fought with two hands.
How was that? I bet that was awful on the night, though. The pain must have been dreadful.
Yes, 2019 was my most painful year because I dealt with torn ligament the entire year from May all the way to November when I fought Maloney. And, it was always in pain, not really recover, but still in training, trying to make something happen.
Yeah, so how long did it actually take to recover fully from something like that? Because torn ligaments is almost as worse as a break, because there's not a lot you can do, is there?
There's not. It took a few months. I actually, after the fight with Pedrosa, I took like 7 or 8 weeks off and I did some therapy. I felt good, but I wasn't completely healed. I just felt good. But once I start training and putting pressure on it, I re-injure myself again.
Yeah.
So I had to deal with the same issue again. And I was advised from the doctor to take time to heal properly before it get worse and I have to do surgery. But I felt like I was in the position where, I have to do something in my career now because ain't nobody really giving me, you know, a shot, or anybody really pushing me. I'm pushing myself mostly.
Yeah.
So I was willing to take the risk no matter what the circumstances and the situation was.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because
Yeah.
your last fight was towards the end of 2019. So
Yeah.
why Elton? I'll ask you the question. Why the comeback in September 2021? Do you still have something to prove?
I have a lot to prove. I tried to make a comeback a few times. I had a small team that wasn't doing what they were supposed to do, that they were supposed to be doing, and had some issues, you know, getting back in the ring. You know, I part ways, you know, and I'm pushing my own career. So it was a bit difficult to come back, even though I tried to come back. I had no place to train at one point because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
No sparring. It was really difficult in New York to actually make a comeback without a, you know, proper team.
Yeah.
So now everything is set. You know, I'm training well, I'm sparring well, and you know, I got the opportunity to come back and do something big and prove that I'm the best guy in this weight class that I fight in, as I strongly believe so. And you know, I'm gonna prove that one day. You know, I feel like if these guys can really beat me up when I have torn ligaments, they're not gonna beat me up when I'm fully healthy and
Yeah.
fully prepared for a fight.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
100%. But you know, and your comeback's going to be in style, like we were saying, towards the end of September 2021 this year,
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
National Stadium in
Yeah.
Guyana. So you're
Yeah.
you're you're going in style, mate.
Yeah, it's definitely, well, yeah. They needed some representation, and I carry myself well. Fight well when I step in the ring to represent not just the Guyanese people, wall boxing fans who really appreciate a good fight and really show me any type of love and appreciation. I really show up and, you know, give them a show.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm sure you will, and I'm sure people will be glad to have you back and see you back in the ring, mate. After sort of a 2 year layoff, it's.
Yes,
I bet you're buzzing to get back in there.
yes, definitely. I just did some good round of sparring today, and actually parked up outside of a park right now, waiting to go run a few miles.
Sorry
Yeah.
to keep you. Sorry to keep you.
Oh, no, 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 it's all right. I got some time.
But no, honestly, before we go, is there any fights you're looking forward to seeing this year as a fight fan?
As a fight fan, the fight that I'm looking forward to see is Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's going to be really good for the sport, and it's going to be really good for, you know, entertainment wise. It's going to be very entertaining to watch.
Elton, I'm gonna grab you for this one. What's your prediction for that fight?
Well, when that fight was announced, I, you know, my first thought was like, Errol Spence is going to beat up a Manny Pacquiao, going to stop him. He's young, he's strong, you know, he's there. It's his time now. But watching Manny Pacquiao train, and
Yeah,
he's still looking the same way, I'm gonna go with Manny Pacquiao by decision.
yeah,
That's just my guts telling me that. But I'm definitely a huge fan of Errol Spence. But I truly believe Pacquiao is gonna win the decision.
yeah. It's scary, isn't it, Manny Pacquiao? How he manages to
Yeah,
keep doing it. You seem to
yeah,
write him off, and then the next minute he seems to. He doesn't seem to age, does he? It's
no,
scary.
definitely not. You know, he showed the same speed in training. But definitely training and fighting is different. Manny
Yeah.
Pacquiao is Manny Pacquiao. He show up and do the same thing in fights. So I think he's gonna really show up fight night and handle it.
Well, Elton, you know what you're talking about, mate. So hopefully you're right.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. Either
Well,
way, it's gonna be fun to watch.
oh, definitely, 100%. I'm looking forward to it, mate. But I really appreciate your time, Elton, and I'll let you crack on and get some miles under your belt. And as you look forward towards September, so any chance of a link that we can watch the fight, let us know, and we can hopefully tune in and watch it somehow. But let us know.
Yes, yes, definitely. It's gonna be live streaming, so I will definitely give you link to that.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me in the show today.
No problem at all. It's my pleasure. And you take care and love to the family.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon.
See you.
Elton Dharry, what a really nice guy. Looking forward to, he's had 2 years out of the ring, looking forward to a big comeback in September in Guyana at the National Stadium. So get behind him. Really lovely guy. Just about to go and put some miles in on the clock. Yeah, but basically just sat in his car ready to go training. So I really appreciate his time. But as I say, if you've enjoyed this, as always, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you all soon for some more great content. Take care.
Oh, you